Let's leave it closed for a while. Let's see how that thing's running, yes? Is it pumping hot or cold there?
Cold.
Is it cold? Oh, good. That's okay. That's what we want. We want to cool the room. No, we don't want that. Wear my jacket if you want to. All right. So today, what I want to get into is the meat of the course. Wednesday was a fun introduction to a lot of terminology and a lot of kind of buckshot, let's cover a bunch of ground in one place. Let's start putting those ideas to use today. So the first thing that got my attention was a commercial I saw in 2007. And I don't know if they've updated this one since. They used to use it every year. One of those is from 05. I think one might have been from 08. I don't remember exactly what the years are on some of these. That one's 06. It looks like an update through 2006. That one doesn't have a date on it. But anyway, take a couple seconds and read that statement, and then I want you to explain it to me. I need to get a little bit of warmth. Interpret. Interpret. So this is what the commercials look like. It looks kind of like this. A little snowy neighborhood. Probably around Christmas. I'm guessing December through. Michelle, help.
I'm stuck on the no matter where they shop.
Tell me why you're stuck.
Does that mean no matter where in the country the Walmart is located?
They didn't specify, did they?
Or
Well, this one down here says based on Walmart's impact on the economy.
So what does that mean? Tell me your name again. Right, go.
So like I don't know, like
What is Walmart's impact on the economy?
are they like prices?
Tell me your name.
Me?
Yes.
Quincy.
Quincy, you said
Price leaders, maybe?
price leaders?
Yeah, like they set the price.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so Michelle, the reason this can be confusing, because you're reading along, you're like, okay, research from blah, blah. Walmart saves the average American family $3,100 every year. So a period right there, you'd be like, okay, you can kind of see that, right? Because they do set prices. They are able to say, because of their mass size, and I've actually got some data to share with you guys here momentarily, they can come in and say, okay, you that makes knives, you have to make knives and we're going to sell them for no more than this. They don't care how much it costs them to make the knives. They will not sell them for any more than this price. And that's where a lot of companies can't afford to provide Walmart with products, because they're like, dude, we're going to bankrupt ourselves if we do that. So that's one of the problems with that scale of business is you can shut out certain businesses that want to sell their products in there. Doesn't mean you have to sell them at Walmart, you sell them wherever you want. But that's where it gets interesting, no matter where they shop. No matter where they shop, right? So in other words, no one could shop at Walmart and Walmart would still save the African American family $300 a year. Seems strange, doesn't it? Tell me your name.
Sandy.
Sandy, go ahead.
Could it also mean, like, let's say they only went to Walmart for one particular item? They could still
Could
shop
mean that,
no
right?
matter where they shopped, even if they only bought one item, they would still be saving.
Who we saving money for here?
Our family.
Who? The average American family. Right? That's who we're saving money for. That's me, that's you, that's all of us. The average American family, I guess. It's not defined either. They haven't quite defined that yet. But yeah, so it's an interesting claim, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
what about like food stamps on top of that kind of thing? Is that kind of thinking
Well,
is like,
I'll tell you what.
about like $1,500 off that?
I don't know the answer to that specific question, but I decided, because did you see this right here? It says Global Insight, and it says Global Insight, the price impact of Walmart and update through 2.6. So I did a little digging, and I got into this, and I found the actual document that they used in that commercial. I said, this is going to be fun. Let's look up and see if I can extract that $3,100 figure from their document. So spend a moment and read some of this. The whole document's not here. You can obviously Google it and find it yourself to get the whole 35, 40 page thing. But just read this little bit here and see if any of it sounds about what you guys were saying. Parched. I'm don't mean to piss you off. Just want you to think. If you get pissed off, that might be an inevitable side effect. So MSA is defined to be something. It's like a manufacturing sector area or service area or something. It's defined later in the graphics. They give 3 reasons that Walmart is likely to have their impact. I think all of which you guys probably already knew. Sophisticated logistics and distribution. If you've ever seen the math they use to pack their trucks, it is freaking awesome. They use every cubic inch of space in those trucks. The networks they use to do the drop-offs as efficient as can be. It's terrifyingly precise. Awesome from a mathematical point of view. Then you apply that to the fact that they have, hang on a second, oh, it's the size of that here later. Walmart's integrated purchasing system and its sheer size, that's what it is. Hey, Gubbies. Sheer size. So you apply that mathematical precision to all these trucks over the entire country and beyond in that case, and you start to realize, wow, it's kind of like Office Space. The scene in Office Space where they designed that program to take all those fractions of a penny they round off and throw them into a, well, just imagine that. That's what's going on here, essentially. All those little savings, each truck is maybe a smidge more efficient than its competitor, but how many more trucks do they have? And all those start adding up and they become price savings. Its lower prices have pressured its competitors to adopt more efficient processes, which I think answers the question of no matter where they shop. Because if you shop at their competitors have to lower their prices to stay competitive with Walmart. The problem is, when you lower prices and you don't have the sheer volume that Walmart has, you're going to lose money. Those competitors might lose money on the other end, on the production end. Please, sir.
Well, when I read that, the first thing I went to was Global Insight. Who are they? And I'm like, okay, they have 3,800 clients and they made $95 million in 2006. Special interest sounds like.
It sounds like that to me too. Tell me your name again.
Jason.
Excellent, Jason. So hear what Jason said? He went right to the source. Who the hell is Global Insight? Why should I believe them? It's a very, very good question. I tend to defer the legitimacy of the companies they use. I'm not saying it's a good idea. For example, how many of you guys have heard of the supplement Airborne?
Yeah.
Airborne, right? Airborne. It's that little fizzy thing you drop into a D. Get rid of your cold in 10 days. Or just wait around 10 days till your cold goes away on its own. But it was supported. Apparently there was a claim on the bottle originally that said, get rid of your cold 3 times faster, 4 times faster, or something like that. There was some kind of a claim. They've since taken off the bottles because it was found that the company that did the study did one study, a very small sample, very low power, and was essentially paid by the maker of the supplement. So I like to think people that do statistics for pay are unbiased. Probably very much a special interest. And Jason, you'll discover it doesn't even matter once you look at what the numbers say. It falls apart anyway. So if you'd be so kind. I mean, I love that you went right to that. Good for you. And I tend to be always like the glass is half full. Let's make lemonade out of the lemons. But then the problem is I get lemons and they're all spoiled. So good for you though for checking. Good for you, sir. Here I went further into their own document, and they said if Walmart can have an impact, the CPI, which is what we're talking about here, like the value of your dollar, is going to be influenced by durable goods, non-durable goods, or services, okay? And if Walmart has an impact, it will be on the first 2 categories, durable and non-durable. What's a durable good? Give me an example. Say that again.
Nothing.
No, nothing.
Plastic.
Well, by definition.
TV.
A TV.
Yeah.
Something that you use more than once, your shirt, right? Something like that. A durable good. Give me a non-durable good. Food. Right? Food. Something that gets used and then you buy it again, it has to be replaced. So what they're saying is Walmart's durable and non-durable goods are where they're going to have the impact. And you can think of it, services are outside their reach, yeah? I mean, services like the cost of electricity. Walmart ain't that big. They're not controlling how electricity is priced. I mean, they use a lot of it, but they're not using, well, maybe not yet, right? Okay, maybe. So anyway, I decided to do a little looking further into the report. 85 to 06 CPI, Consumer Price Inflation, the Consumer Price Index. And I noticed this was the first thing. They have a number of metro areas. Portland, I think, is in there.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Under Miami.
Under Miami. Yeah, Portland, there's us. Well, that's us. We often are used, they often use Portland CPI to talk about Bend, which we can say that's good or bad, but that's often what happens. Philadelphia, I think, is in there. It's near from where I'm from. got Honolulu. I think there's an Alaska town, I believe. Anchorage, boom, Anchorage is right there. And then across the bottom, they've got the CPI, which is the measure of inflation over a given period of time. So basically how much your dollar is worth, essentially. I hope my business folks can allow that definition of inflation, how much your dollar is worth, how much purchasing power it has. And then it's made up by the chunk. Is it made up from services or from commodities? In other words, services or goods sold. What do you notice about each of those bars? Service is bigger than commodities in every one of those metro areas. So remember what they said about if Walmart has an impact, it'll be through commodities? Well, it looks like for 20 years, commodities played a small part in the overall inflation, which means the variability in the pricing happened an awful lot through stuff that Walmart had no control over. Does that, here, something else, does that make sense before I go on?
No.
So each of these bars represents the CPI for that particular metro area, like San Diego. So the dotted part here is the part of the inflation, or the part of the change of buying power that comes from fluctuations in the system, like how much power costs, how much gas costs, how much sugar costs because of imports and exports and tariffs.
Well,
Stuff that Walmart has no control over.
Man hours too, like.
Probably, yes. Which they can have control over, right?
No, well, depending. I mean, like you gotta get a job done, so it's like how much do you pay for getting
Gotcha.
plumbing done?
Gotcha. Salary versus hourly kind of thing. Yeah, okay. Good, Scott. Good.
Have to be paid.
I was just going with bigger commodities like utility costs. Those have cycles, and they have cost cycles up and down. I mean, if anybody was alive, you guys probably weren't during the 70s when the gas crisis happened. You could only buy based on your license plate. Odd number plates could only buy on like Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, and even plates on Tuesdays, Thursdays. And this was crazy. It was crazy because of import-export problems. Walmart doesn't control that, right? But yet, those kinds of things are making up a large chunk of the inflation. So keep that in the back of your mind, okay? Keep that in the back of your mind, if you would. Here's a graph. We love graphs. Here's a graph in their report. Hold that thought for a second. We'll come back to that one. So what this is, and I just love this graph. It's one of my favorites. It's the growth in the CPI. Growth in the CPI. So heading that way. In other words, as it goes that way, inflation is getting higher. Inflation's going up, going that way. Here's square footage change of Walmart stores per capita. Now, I don't know what per capita means, but basically what it means is here's no Walmarts, there's a lot of Walmarts. I mean, I don't know how they metriced it by 1 and 0 and 3, but that's what it means essentially. You see what the scatter plot is? San Diego, I don't know what they do, San Diego. They gave you, each one of those little points is a metro area from the previous chart. So Anchorage had a low CPI and, a medium number of Walmart stores, or I shouldn't say number of stores, a number of square footage of Walmart store change. Boston's over here, high CPI, not many Walmarts. What's this town right here? I don't know what this town is, but they've got kind of a median CPI and a bunch of Walmarts. Faith?
So they're saying that the lower the CPI, the more stores at Walmart there are.
That is the claim that this graph is presenting. The more Walmarts, the lower your CPI is going to be, which means we've controlled for inflation by putting more Walmarts in. In case you didn't get that point, they put a line on it. So you can see there's a decreasing slope as more Walmarts, lower CPI. Now, this might smack you in the face as something we talked about the first day of class. Higher ice cream rates, higher ice cream sales mean higher crime rates. And you all laughed. And I laughed too at this. Because just because change of inflation happens at the same time Walmart square footage is happening does not mean in anybody's world that one is causing the other. It's correlation, not correlation, not a causation. I can't prove nor disprove, but neither can they with this fancy graph. And then, as if, and Jason, this is for you for looking up that report. Then at the very end of the report, they slap this in. Once differences in consumer service prices are accounted for, so once we've admitted that fuel costs are in there, and electricity costs are in there, and all sugar costs are in there, we are able to explain nearly 89% of the variation in the price change across these areas by considering the variation in unemployment rate, high wage industry employment share, and electricity price growth. Meaning, the remaining 11% maybe can be attributed to the stuff that Walmart has control over. I'm going to say that again. Almost 90% of all this change is due to stuff outside of Walmart's control. And then maybe the other 10% can be attributed to them. So we back up to their commercial, their adorable little commercial. Their adorable little commercial. Saves you $3,100 a year no matter where they shop. Say it more correctly statistically for me. Use the number 3,100 if you would. Can you say it more correctly statistically for me? Give it a whirl. You'd be a terrible Walmart spokesperson if you were to say it correctly. But go ahead, give it a whirl. Please, tell me your name again.
Alicia,
Alicia, go ahead.
Walmart might be able to save you $3,100 a
Oh.
year, no matter where you shop.
You'd be a better Walmart spokesperson than I am. That's perfect. That's very, very good. Might be able to save. Might have something to do with the savings of $3,100 a year. That's much more kind than I would have been. Yeah. Because I wouldn't have mentioned Walmart at all. I would have said the average American family saved $3,100 between 2005 and 2006, no matter where they shopped, due to reasons beyond all of our control. But 90% of it. I mean, that's what I would have said, something like that. And I wouldn't have put a Walmart logo on it. I would have been a PSA. Boom, here you go. I mean, that's, you know, does Walmart then make a commercial the next year when inflation pops through the roof and say, guess what, it's more expensive to shop here now? Of course they don't do that. When the economy corrects. Please, Faith.
Or even that independent research shows that the average family saves $31,000 a year, and Walmart may be a contributing.
maybe one of the many contributing factors, as is the fact that you turned your lights off when you used the bathroom. I mean, there's all these things that should be included. There's all these correlations, but you can't just cherry pick a causation too. Very good.
The closest one would actually be that one. We help.
We help families. This is actually pretty good, right? We help. Or we might help.
Yeah.
Maybe we help. But maybe we help. It can be argued that we might be able to claim that. We help. There's all kinds of ways to say it more correctly. Yes, God.
Wasn't there like a price difference like advertised for hybrid cars where it was like around? I thought it was around.
Like the savings for a hybrid car?
Yeah, I thought it was around $31,000 each year.
Oh my God. Wow.
3,100.
I don't know how many zeros that has. I mean, you could.
It was, I don't know.
The trick with those.
It was just on fuel though. It was like, it was like, you know, it could fluctuate at any point.
Oh, it can fluctuate at any point. And the problem with only looking at fuel, this is good, Scott, and this is where you have to become a statistical thinker. Scott's point is a good one. Hybrid cars, right? Hybrid cars get like 60 miles a gallon. Does anybody drive a hybrid car? They get insane mileage, you have to be, especially when you're in town and you can run that battery.
Hold on, I have one thing to say to this guy. Get the hell out.
But the thing about it is, if you only focus on the fuel, there's a big hidden cost that you're going to have to eventually deal with a hybrid car, and that is replacing those batteries when they go. That is the thing they have not figured out a cost-effective solution for yet. Not to freak out in your hybrid dummy. By the time yours is
This year.
this year you have to replace it?
After 7 years, though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's every 100,000 miles.
Is that what it is? 100,000 miles you have to replace it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see that study that compares and contrasts the cumulative fuel costs minus the battery charge. What is it, a net zero at the end? Is it still positive?
They're getting better with it.
Oh, they always will get better. Battery technology always gets better. The trick is, how does the graph pan out? It's the same question. Should we use CFL bulbs? Should we use LED bulbs? Or should we just go back to using incandescent bulbs? I mean, if you focus on just the money, CFLs make a lot of sense. Because they're not much more expensive than an incandescent. They last a lot longer. So right there, you're like, duh. But the problem is, number one, you have to train people how to use them. Because if you turn them off and on, like my son likes to do, you're going to blow that thing out in no time. They are not designed to be cycled on and off that quickly. Then when they go, you can't just throw them in your trash can anymore. Because they're full of mercury.
Right.
They have to be recycled properly. The country of Australia, continent country of Australia, made an edict. They said, no more incandescent bulbs by, I think it was 2010 or something like that. We'll be CFL by 2010. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, just poisoned your entire continent.
Yeah.
Because people are going to throw their bulbs away. I mean, I did it for years until I realized I shouldn't be doing it. I'm like, holy shit, it's got mercury in them. So you have to recycle them. That's where LEDs come in. But LEDs cost like 26 bucks a bulb. And then it becomes this awesome little math problem of, when does it make sense to use which kind, you know? When does it make sense to use? That's what, it's a loaded question. There are correlations, but there are also hidden variables in each thing. The hybrid CFL. Yeah, Riley, go ahead.
Recycle in Australia now because my aunt lives there.
Good, they finally figured it out. Good. Oh crap, before we do that, let's deal with this. Good. I don't have an Australian accent, I would salute you. But, no matter what we're talking about, hybrid cars, CFL bulbs, or Walmart, Has anybody figured out what this is yet?
American.
Average American family? Anybody figured out what that is?
Do they count that as like
I don't know.
children?
I couldn't find it in that report. I know back in 1990, there were 2.5 kids per family on average in America, according to the U.S. Census. 2.5. Why are we laughing?